Do you know how to take off conservative Christians and then hardcore liberals in one fell swoop? Well, let's talk about something most churches will never address directly, most conservative Christians will disagree with, and most liberals will also disagree with in one fell swoop. It's going to be about the way God sees your horniness, your sexual passion, especially if you're single. We're talking about a powerful, consuming feeling in your body that most people in the world are either going to mock, flaunt, or hide in shame. Something that makes you feel guilty and dirty. Horniness, what I call sexual passion, is actually something that's never going to go away no matter what you do. You are never going to hear this in church. Yet, I am here to tell you, this is one of the most powerful tools God himself designed to build families, to build his kingdom, and to build his church. Yes, I said it. That feeling, that sexual passion is actually not devil's invention. Most people believe that it's dirty, and this is a kind of brainwashing by the enemy. People believe it's something you must quickly suppress, do anything to get rid of it, to remove it away. But it's actually something which belongs to God. It's a fire. It's a direction that God gives you. It's a kind of training that God provides you. It's the echo of God's own creative heartbeat inside your human body. The heartbeat which is going to grow a family. The heartbeat which is going to create a powerful covenant, and one that actually ends up growing the church and fulfilling God's will on this planet. And it's a tool God uses to grow the church so that we can fulfill God's purposes and his will on this planet. My name is Dr. Josiah Lawrence, and this is Purpose, Prayer, and Planes. This is a platform where we come to submit to the teachings of God so that we can be transformed by the renewings of our mind into the same kingdom mindset that Christ had, so that we can accomplish his purposes on earth. So you need to understand why God created this passion inside our body. This passion was there before the fall. Before Adam fell, this passion was there. When God made all of humanity and made man, he said that it was good. And so anything God put inside you, natural urges are one of them, God said it is good. And so you have to be able to understand why God thinks it's good. It means that God gave you these desires, the nerves, the central nervous system that produces the longing and even the power to see beauty in another person and be moved by it. All of that was God's intention for the glorification of his name. Genesis chapter 2 basically says Adam and Eve were naked and completely unashamed. This verse isn't about pornography. It's prophetic. It means their desires were still in order. Their sexual passion was in its original form. It was pure. And it was never meant to bring you guilt or shame. No, it was meant to be holy, devoted to God. After the fall, something very, very serious had shifted in our collective mindset. The same powerful energy, the same powerful impetus God gives us to build covenants, that yearning that allowed Adam to say, this is the bone of my bones and the flesh of my flesh, is now taken to a place where we use it for consumption or we hide it in shame. This is the distinction. Lust is not an attraction, it's idolatry. Lust is when pleasure becomes our God, our gratification. It becomes about selfishness. It's about consumption, taking, extracting pleasure from other people's bodies. And so people who are made in God's image become our tools for use to please ourselves and to gratify ourselves outside of the covenant that God wants between us and those people. When you use someone else's body, even a body in your imagination, you are using God's image as a tool to worship your idol of lust and to gratify yourself. It's gross and disgusting. But here is the kingdom's purpose. Sexual passion can actually take the root of the kingdom. When that passion is surrendered completely to God, when it is basically brought to the altar and directed towards God, it becomes a holy devotion. It doesn't become lust anymore. It becomes baptized in agape love. And this is what God actually wanted from the beginning. Rather than seeking self-gratification, we actually seek to please God with these desires. And you might be thinking, how do we do that? Look, the primary purpose of that powerful desire is to activate your mind's eye, your capability of having visions. You call it fantasies because fantasies serve your lust. They are visions which serve your lust. But God actually designed your system to be able to produce these visions that quicken you, that wake you up to the reality that he is preparing somebody for you and he's preparing you for that person. This vision is not meant to hijack or be used for immediate self-gratification like people do using fantasies. No, it's a key. You are not supposed to use it to consume porn, to self-gratify, or to find quick hookups. No, that's not what God meant for that feeling, that burning desire. Instead, you're supposed to use it to consecrate you. It's an opportunity for training. It's an opportunity for you to renew your mind. It's an opportunity for you to be excited about God's plans for you. And every time you feel that powerful arousal, that holiness, it's a signal to associate that feeling with purpose, with vision and prayer. So let's talk about the purpose of your holiness. The first one is it's supposed to draw you into prayer and preparation. You might be saying, what on earth? And I'm really, really serious about this. Your sexual passion is actually meant to fuel your prayer, your purpose, and your preparation. What do we pray for when you feel this intense longing? The first is that you need to pray for clear visions. That when the fantasies are coming, when those fantasies are playing in your head, pray in anticipation of your future partner. Pray that you're able to see visions of what your future life together with your partner is. For the man, you're supposed to be able to envision what glorifying God together in a family looks like. What places are you going to go with your wife? What are you going to be doing with your life when you meet her? What kind of house are you praying for so that you guys can have a family in it? What are you going to do to set your life in order now to be ready for her? What else do you think God has to transform inside you into the husband in the image of Christ so that you can be a good husband for her? Okay? You're supposed to also pray, secondly, for your partner's purity and protection. Even though you have no idea where she is, even though you've never set eyes on her, in faith, you have to believe that she already exists because she does. She does. The fact that you haven't met her yet isn't proof that she doesn't exist. And so in faith, even though you have no sign of her, you hope that she exists and that God, and you can ask God to provide for her, to protect her purity. And it's the same thing for husband. Even though you can't see your husband, you pray and ask God, Father, can you protect this man? Father, protect this woman. Father, provide for them, protect them, nurture them. Father, keep them pure, keep them away from trauma, keep them away from the wrong people. Father, if they are stuck together with the wrong person, free them from this person. You're supposed to be in prayer and fasting during those times. When you have those fantasies, remember that someone could be with that person. Someone could be in the process of ruining them. And it's an impetus for you to pray for that person, to pray for your forever person so that they are protected, so that they are actually loved in covenant with God. Thirdly, you're supposed to be praying for your transformation during that time. Yes, this is a covenant mandate and it's something God sends you as part of the preparation. If you're a man, when you are holy, you're supposed to be thinking, Lord, prepare me to represent Christ to my wife. Prepare me to lead and sanctify and lay my life down for my wife. Even though she is imperfect, she is going to be imperfect, she's going to be filled with flaws. But just like Christ did for the church, I want to do for her. So prepare me for that. You as a man must be prepared, like Christ on the cross, to look at your wives or your future wives' inevitable flaws and say, Father, forgive them. Forgive her, because she has no idea what she's doing. You have to be able to have the capacity to do that. And if you're a woman, when you are burning with desire, you should be able to pray, Father, prepare me to honor and affirm this man in his leadership. Prepare me to carry it through according to the gifts that you're giving me now. Father, teach me submission so that I can submit to him, so that I'm not going to be in competition with him, but to be in cooperation with him. And prepare him, Lord, to meet me. You're also supposed to be praying for fruitfulness. And this is where you acknowledge that one of the most important functions of sex is to produce children. You have to pray for your own emotions, that If you're a man who doesn't want children, or if you're a woman who doesn't want children, Father, can you let your will be done? Do you really want me to have children? Do you want me to actually become a mother and a father? Because it's part of this entire feeling that I'm having now. And then you have to be prepared to submit to Christ in this arena. And so the ultimate purpose of desire is to lead to the moment where a man and a woman can come together and resubmit to the marital covenant. And when you are not married yet, that is still its purpose. And so you have to steward it in a really, really, really holy way, so you don't abuse it for the wrong purposes. The next thing is about training. This is one of the most overlooked aspects of being horny as a Christian person. A lot of Christians fall into two categories. There are people who think being horny is wrong. It's something to hide. And then there are some people who think being horny is something you have to get rid of as quick as possible. Eliminate it as fast as possible so that you can move on with your business. No, when God sends you this, it's another opportunity for you to get your training. There's a certain amount of training you as a single person has to go through in being able to sit comfortably with those desires and not act selfishly on it. And the reason is because you are being prepared for a situation where you have to do it for the rest of your life. And if you cannot do it whilst you're single, it's better for you to be single, because you are going to hurt somebody with your inability to sit with those desires without acting on it. Before God gave Adam and Eve each other, God gave them responsibility and relationship with God himself. Yes, in the Garden of Eden, God put them in his presence. That's what Eden was. Adam had his work and his purpose. He had worship, and he had discipline in keeping God's commandments, and he had the ability to protect God's presence. This means that singleness is not a holding pattern. It's not a place where you indulge. It's a place where you prove yourself to be a wife or a husband. Your body is a classroom for dominion. You learn the true strength. It's not in suppressing those feelings. It's not in distracting it. And this is the problem in the Christian community. A lot of you are taught to distract yourself, to put your attention on something else. No, you have to train yourself to sanctify those desires. You are not called to feel less horny. You are called to steward it more wisely. Many men and women today scatter covenant energy in all directions. They're giving their fire to people they will never build altars with. They offer temporary intimacy to everybody. Some people for one night, some people for a month or two. Sometimes it's just for a couple of years, and then they move on to someone else. And they call that love. They pervert it. And they completely ignore this aspect of training, so that when you find a partner and your partner can't meet your needs, you are actually able to sit with the feeling of being devoted to God and to that person without even harboring fantasies of being with other people. And the math is really, really simple. If you spend your single times gratifying your flesh and spending that energy that God has given you, you are going to have little left for your partner when you actually get married. And even more importantly, you won't have the stamina to be able to keep yourself for the person within the covenant when you're married, when the person isn't around or they are not available to gratify you. In other words, if you can't stay single long enough, where you are able to sit with your lust, where you are able to sit with your sexual passion, if you can't do that whilst you're single, you will cheat on your partner, for sure. And so, take hold of the opportunities to train and sit in purity with those emotions, making sure that your fantasies are pleasing God rather than pleasing yourself, so that you can be pro-purpose. If you can't be faithful when you're single, again, you won't suddenly become faithful when you're married. If you can't sit with those feelings without watching porn, you are going to watch porn in your marriage. And this is something most Christian men were never taught. If you can't steward this burning desire, you are definitely going to betray your partner and commit adultery. Because that's what Christ said. All you have to do is look at a woman with lust in your heart and you've already committed adultery with her. And today, a lot of Christian men, 99% of Christian men, have absolutely no idea how to steward this burning desire, even when they are in their marriage, so that whilst in their marriage, they're still committing adultery. Christian women are closely behind. They have absolutely no idea how to deal with these desires, and they can't hold the desire without letting the desire be about themselves, about how they will be served, about how they will be pleased. They just can't do it. And it's because every time God sent them opportunities to train, they threw it away. They turned it into self-pleasing fantasies instead. And so when the desire comes, you have to be able to say to God, Father, this longing is yours. Teach me to love it. Teach me not to lust with it. Teach me to wait and worship you, rather than waste it and worry with it. And so here's the conclusion, and leave a like, because lust is wildfire, but the root is just passion. And that passion is supposed to be turned to devotion, not lust. Turn it into a holy fire that warms rather than burns, that refines rather than consumes, that builds altars and families instead of leaving brokenness and trauma in people. If you know anybody who needs to hear this, please send this to them. Please subscribe,